Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows comes the best of indie podcasts. Welcome back to Castles and Cryptids podcast, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I am your host, Alanna.
I'm Kelsey.
And I have a lot of energy because it's Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. We usually record after supper, so...
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to do a daytime one in a while.
A daytime one. Get ready for
Yeah.
some... my friend that we worked with used to say afternoon ADD. I reminded her that the other day. Anyway, I need a hot tub. I need to still have a fire.
Yeah.
It's Saturday. I have Monday off. We have big plans. No, we don't. But even just having just have a fire or do something, I'll be fine. I'll just sit down and read a book. I went to the library, got some new books, got some true crime books.
Nice.
So yeah, get reading up for some cases. Maybe, who knows? We hope you guys are having a good summer and maybe had a long. Did the Americans have a long weekend? We just had July 4th,
Probably, Yeah, probably the 4th of July.
Which was the Tuesday.
I think so, yeah.
Because we got kind of screwed up in here in Canada, because ours is the 1st, Canada Day. It's our Independence Day, and it was the 1st this year, so it was a Saturday. So it was like most people that would normally get a long weekend didn't really get a long weekend. So I'm taking a long weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
But
nice.
Yeah. Yes. Because it's been a long ass kind of shitty week. But how was your week? I know you're just telling me a little bit off mic, but yeah.
Yeah. I've been like super out of it. I've been closing at work, and I feel like that's made me tired and loopy, and I can't remember things.
Yeah, so, it's hard to sleep sometimes. I'm really, really, really looking at different blackout curtains and going like, I need to buy these because my whole bedroom is so bright. The way it's, what are we, south facing? I don't know. It's fucking bright during the day. The sun beats in our bedroom, and this room too has the window facing. So this room's always hot. Our guest bedroom or whatever / podcast studio. But yeah, oh my god, sometimes just like waking up so fucking hot and it's bright and like my eye mask, it does nothing.
Yeah, it's really hot here this weekend. I think it's supposed to get up to today is supposed to be 30 degrees Celsius, which is quite high.
Yeah, that would be like in the 90s Fahrenheit, I think. It's hot.
It is hot. It's so hot.
And although it's not super muggy here, it's still fucking hot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Still, it's good to get outside. At work, I'm like in a cubicle in the middle right now, so I don't even have I'm not by a window, and I have to like go outside and walk around at lunch and like sit outside and do stuff so I don't go insane.
Yes.
Rain said she's been excited to go see Grammy because Grammy makes her get out of the house, and sometimes she's like, I'm sitting in my room, and then it's depressing. I'm like, get the fuck outside.
Yeah, you can sit on the internet outside on the porch. You don't need to sit inside all the time.
I know, we have a nice porch, a nice little table, patio thing. Like, she sometimes goes out there to have a snack or whatever. I'm like, just go sit. It's nice. Yeah, we used to have our backyard just backed into, in Alberta, they do it a little differently than I've seen in New Brunswick, where you kind of have the backyards and then the back alley where you can park, and then out front there's only like where we used to live street parking. Like, it wasn't like you had a front driveway.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those where everything was, well, yours is like that too. You have
it's
free
the
parking
older
and
neighborhoods here that kind of are set up to have the back alley parking, and you have like a detached garage and stuff.
Right. So when you go and sit out in your back, I didn't like at the old place how there wasn't really anything nice to look at other than the other people's back, like the back of their house and their like garbage and stuff. You know what I mean? We didn't have like I don't know, there wasn't a view. And now we back out onto a park and it's like you sit out in the backyard and people are like
nice.
Playing sometimes baseball and shit like that. Anyway. Thank God I like my house because we just fucking renewed our mortgage this week and it was just so much more painful than it needed to be. Thought we were going to get a good deal with the other guys with the TD bank and then ended up having to stay fucking with the guys we're with and it's not going cheaper. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so dumb. I don't know if I was telling you, but it came down to the solar panels that we have on our house. Yeah. They were like, oh no, we have to make sure that the mortgage comes out first. It's like, okay, can you guys just work that out with the solar panel company? Because that only costs us like like $50 a month. It's not going to affect our mortgage. It was so stupid.
Oh, wow. That's ridiculous.
That's all I understood. Like there was other stuff, but it was just like, what? They want, anyway.
Stupid.
I know I was bitching to you about it already. Anywho, being a homeowner is fun. But like, I used to sit in my own little podcast studio, so
yeah,
I can't complain.
No.
It's a lot nicer than paying rent to somebody else.
I mean, mine's not too bad. I pay rent to my parents, so if I needed the money, they wouldn't kick me out because they know if they kick me out, I just move in with them temporarily. So it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, if you're gonna have to pay off anyone else's mortgage, at least it would be someone in your family.
Yeah.
Oops.
In a house I eventually basically will inherit. So
that's nice. It's nice to have property. My mom always had wanted to buy like a little cottage and did buy one property at one time, but for some reason I think didn't work out. So it's one of those dreams.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have that. Oh my God, Pat was to the lawyer. Yeah, I'm living here for the foreseeable future. If I don't move away to Norway, they got it better there. So he was, I don't know, he's Scandinavian technically, but
yeah.
I'm like, where are we going now? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I guess I could podcast from anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am rambling. Did you guys like last week? It was a little fun. I wanted to do numerology because it was episode 111. And then I was thinking, when it came out, I was looking at the date and I was like, it literally came out on 7/7/2023.
Oh.
That could not be any more sevens. And I don't think, because I usually write out July 7th, July 14th when I'm doing my little episode list. So I didn't really.
That's true.
Think about it. But 7. What does 2 plus 2 plus 3 equal? 7. It's so hard. 7. I'm just seeing numbers everywhere now. Also, my brother commented. It was so sweet. He put on the Good Pods review, these two are number 1 in my book. I was like, oh, shucks.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you. Is anyone here that was watching this one on YouTube? The Italy crimes? Because that had a nice little spike in listeners. We were happy.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Basically, right when it dropped. Yeah, picked up a bit of traction.
I'm gonna eat up that Italy crimes.
Yeah,
like it's hot pizza. Yeah, it was good. I liked, like, your case was fascinating.
Yeah, Marta Russo.
Mm-hmm. It's like, just they'll kind of think of it as like the motiveless murder.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
This is really weird. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely a different one. Never heard of it. That's what I was just telling you. People were saying on our Instagram too. Like, never heard of it. Thanks for sharing. Like,
Yeah. It looked like it had only really been covered in like a few podcasts and maybe one of them that would have been in English. So,
oh,
yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of sources I could pull from when I was trying to look stuff up. So,
yeah. Well, it was pretty recent too, really. For like, we don't always do ones that are within
yeah.
our lifetimes
Yeah.
necessarily. Sometimes those ones can be a little scarier. Let's just say that, because especially if something's ongoing, you
Yeah.
really don't want to say something that could get you in trouble legally, or have
Mhm.
somebody from the family, God forbid, reach out to you and say that they didn't
Yeah.
like the way you covered it. That's like my
Or
worst
they're
nightmare.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah. Except I did have a nightmare the other night that it was a flightmare. That's what we used to call it when I worked at the flight center. But this time it was that I missed the flight. I missed my flight. It's
Oh.
like, that would be awful. What if I
Yeah.
miss my flight to see my family? Oh, I hate those dreams. They stress me out. But maybe it's better than like you, who it gets cut in half. So I don't know which is worse.
Yeah. I haven't had that
Mine
one
feel
in a
very
while.
stressful. And I'm only missing a flight, not getting
I
torso
haven't
chopped.
Yeah, I haven't had any of my reoccurring dreams lately. So we'll see.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, Alanna was alluding to the one where I wake up and I'm basically
Oh,
on a farm and I get chopped in half and I like drag myself from kind of like the farmhouse kind of thing to the edge of the dirt road, and a
dear
car's
God.
coming down and I flag them down and it ends up being the people that cut me in half and they just like pull me in the car and drive me back to the farm, and then I wake up and it
I'm sure they remember. It's haunted my thoughts since you
yeah.
told me. No, I
Yeah.
don't know. If you hadn't listened, yeah, that was
And
the
it just like restarts
reminder.
and like
Oh,
over and over again. Yeah.
horrible. That sounds like
Yeah.
something that you would like wake up from and have like sleep paralysis. Like, that sounds awful.
Yeah, right? That's why I'm super scared about having sleep paralysis, because in that dream
Sorry.
I know I'm in a dream, so I can force myself to wake up. So I'm always worried about having sleep paralysis
Oh.
cuz your body wouldn't be awake yet if you just suddenly wake yourself up. So like, ah.
Oh, and it's not like, I was gonna say, it's good you're not trying to lucid dream, but
No.
you
But I
you are
can.
aware. Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
once it plays through like once or twice, I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, and I'll be like, and wake up, and I'll like wake up in bed. They'd be like,
I
okay.
feel like I've had that sort of feeling in a dream before, but maybe not a full blown like, this is a fucking dream. I could just do it. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm
Yeah.
like, this kind of feels off. Everything I'm trying to do is really weird and
Yeah.
nothing is working. But you can't just pull yourself out of it. Ugh,
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
that got
any
dark.
you brought it up.
Well, how about a fun, interesting fact? Have I.
Sure.
Today I learned, no, this isn't even. Well, usually I have something that I learned on the internet or on a podcast, but I'm going to reach over to my trusty printed out facts that I looked up on the internet a long time ago. But this is kind of a fun one. It looks like, from when I was skimming it, it says the tea bag was an accidental invention, which I did not know.
Okay.
All the good things are
Yeah.
poutine, chocolate chip cookies. I don't know. Caesar salad, maybe? All I can think of is food. Birth control? No. Wait, Viagra? Which one was supposed to be a heart medication and turned out to make your dick hard? Or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right, we're going to educate you on the tea bag, though. In 1908, New York tea merchant Thomas Sullivan sent samples of tea leaves to some of his customers in small silken bags. Oh. Many of the recipients assumed that the bags were supposed to be used in the same way as the metal infusers. Oh, I've had a metal infuser
Yeah.
ball.
Okay.
So they put the entire bag into the teapot rather than emptying out its contents. And they're like silk bags. He's probably like, my silk bags! After such positive feedback from the happy accident, Sullivan designed intentional tea bags for commercial production. In the 1920s, his sachets? Is that how you say it? I think so.
Probably
made of
gauze.
It's like SACHET, sachets. Made of gauze and later paper, included the string with the tag hanging over the side so the bag could be easily removed. Some things really do stay the same. I can't imagine the silk would have been very, cheap to keep producing. So he's like, I have to switch this.
They, some of the ones I've bought are in like silky pouches.
Like mesh sort of.
Yeah, like those triangle ones. Those are typically like silk kind of ones. But they say now that that's responsible. All the tea bags and everything are responsible for a whole lot of microplastics in the water.
Really?
So, yeah, it's not really good to use like tea bags. It's probably better to stick with like the metal tea infuser ball or. Yeah.
But they're like usually more like the paper ones that I have.
Yeah, but some of them still like David's Tea, Starbucks,
okay,
and that kind of stuff. They use those silk pouches, or were. Maybe they've updated now.
Oh no, something else we gotta freaking feel shitty about. Not my tea bags.
Yeah, they said it's. I think I had read somewhere it was over 10,000 pieces of plastic if you use one of the tea bags in one cup. You're drinking 10,000 like units of like microplastic, like at minimum. It's really bad. So
I really hope it's just those certain kinds.
Yeah, I hope so too. I can't remember. It was like a while ago I read that.
It's like, doesn't the hot water just cook that right out?
No.
Yeah. Well, they're none of the tea bags that I use. I like me Lipton and I don't know. What the fuck? Who else makes Earl Grey? Like Nestle?
Probably Nestle, yeah.
Yeah. Mine aren't fancy. They don't even have the little string, the ones we buy at home. They don't have the string with the little paper. They're just the little
round ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my tea. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that was a less fun fact.
Well, it is a true crime episode. We can't have too much fun.
Trigger warning for this tea fact. This is going to depress you.
Oh no.
It is a true crime episode. Yay. What are we doing today? What are you telling us about?
Something brutal and awful.
Oh, I mean,
on brand.
I guess. We did say it was crimey.
Yeah. We're doing some deadly duos, and I found quite the duo. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is not your dynamic duos, so I guess we knew what we're into probably by the time you read the description and everything.
Yeah. I found a case I had never heard of this one before, but it has been covered a number of times, so I don't know if you'll have heard of it, or maybe some of the listeners have. I myself hadn't.
Oh wait, I don't even know what you're covering yet, do I?
That's because you picked who you were doing first, and then I just
that never happens.
Yeah, not too often. So I chose to go with. They don't have a cutesy name, despite everything.
God damn it.
I remember in one of my sources it said something about like a little nickname for them, and then I lost it somewhere, like it wasn't in my notes anymore, and then I tried Googling them again and clicking through all the sources, and I couldn't find a nickname for them at all.
Right. So just in one spot.
Yeah. So this is the case of Alton Coleman and Debra Brown.
Okay. We'll see if we can't think of a horrible nickname for them by the end of
Cole Brown. Brown Cole. Brown Man. It's all bad.
Did we tell them about the nickname that I was learning about?
You have to tell them. It's so fun.
Well, I've probably mentioned that I've been binging Creeps and Crimes, which is an awesome podcast that I do recommend. One does creeps, one does crimes, so it's very up our alley.
Yeah.
And the one they were both covering it because it was such a big case, but this guy named Barry Seal, which we'll probably have to cover because once you hear his nickname, you'll know. He ran drugs and Pablo Escobar called him El Gordo, which means the fat man.
Which I love. So Alanna texted me and was like, I'm listening to a true crime case that involves a guy that, and his name was El Gordo, and it means the fat man. And I was like, oh my god, that's Gordo's new nickname, El Gordo.
Yeah, exactly. I could not even wait till today to tell you, because usually I'll be like, I'll just tell her when we talk tomorrow.
Yeah, it was great. I laughed so much. I was at work on a break, and I was like, oh my god, El Gordo.
My friend Jill used to ask us to call her El Presidente for a short while. I forget why. She's a fun one.
Yeah.
Anywho.
So yeah, Alton, Coleman, and Debra Brown, this couple led investigators on a manhunt. It was pretty wild. It goes across 6 states over the course of 53-day this murder spree that happened in 1984. And
a spree?
Yeah, it's really bad. We'll go there. All the trigger warnings. All the trigger warnings imaginable will come into play. Yeah.
Blanket trigger warning for all our true crime
episodes. So their trail of crimes horrified all of those involved and destroyed dozens of families along the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So getting into background, Alton Coleman was born November 6, 1955 in Illinois.
He's my mom's age.
Yeah. I think both of them were born in Waukegan. I didn't look that up. Waukegan, Illinois. Yeah.
Don't you know you'll never be able to walk again? I love it.
Such a weird word.
Where is it? What state? Sorry.
Illinois.
Okay.
And Coleman was the third out of 5 kids. It said that his mother was a sex worker, and she also worked 3 jobs as well. And
okay, well, my mom did one of those things.
Work 3 jobs.
Ding, ding, ding. But like, I don't know. I guess I was surprised to hear that she's a sex worker and had time to have 3 jobs. Those kids and those jobs. Yeah,
3 jobs. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, you can do one of them at night. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. At one point during his childhood, I'm not exactly well, it says when he was an infant. I'm not exactly sure how old, but Coleman was thrown into a garbage can by his mother when he was just an infant, and he ended up being rescued by his 73-year-old grandmother, who like lived with them, like as a family, that like the grandma lived with them. So the grandma rescued him, and then he ended up back in the house with his mom, but basically it was his grandma at that point that was more raising him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
No. It just gets worse, though. Coleman was raised in a really bad environment. He was surrounded by drug use and sex work, and in multiple sources, it said that his mother and his grandmother both sexually abused him.
What?
Yeah.
The grandmother that saved him?
Yeah, so she's not heroic. She also is a piece of crap.
Okay, so yeah, this is something the mother learned from her mother, and
presumably, yeah. It said that they forced him into like group sex with like other people.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wasn't ready for that one. That was wow. Yeah. So that trigger warning was really needed for this. Yep.
And the next one, because they also forced him.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah. They also forced him into acts of bestiality with them and other people and animals. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So when I say he grew up in a bad environment, it was really bad.
Holy shit.
Yeah. One
That's
source said
all of
that
the bad.
Yeah. One source said that his grandmother later made him kill and then dismember animals as part of voodoo practices.
What the fuck?
I found that like offhandedly in one of the sources. I don't really know.
I'm gonna keep resorting to uncomfortable laughter and
yeah.
lots of curse words. I apologize.
So it's like trigger warning for this episode because it's really bad.
Holy shit.
It said that he dropped out of school.
Yeah, sorry. Never mind.
He dropped out of school in grade 9 after facing bullying. And two of my sources differed, but he had the nickname Pissy, like Pissy.
Oh.
And it said it was either, like, most of the sources said this was due to him peeing his pants at school, and, like, the kids at school called him Pissy, and that's part of the reason he dropped out. And another source said that his grandmother called him Pissy because he would, like, wet the bed.
Yeah. Well, children are have a tendency to do that when they're being abused.
100%, yeah.
That's what makes it so sad when you're like, you're causing this, and then you're gonna go ahead and use that as more fodder in your sick mind to keep perpetrating your abuse. That's fucked up.
So soon Coleman became well known with Illinois police, and he ended up joining a street gang. Again, this is like around grade 9.
Damn.
Throughout his life, Coleman never really held down anything more than the occasional odd job. He never had any sort of full-time employment. And this is kind of a quick rundown of crimes he committed separately by himself before the crime spree. I don't really get into details. There's a lot more information about these crimes out there.
Okay. This is the evolution of his life of crime.
Yeah, just really briefly into like one paragraph. Between the age of 18 and 28, he was charged with sex crimes 6 times. He was also charged with possibly molesting his niece, and as well charged with various robbery and battery charges.
Less concerning, but still bad.
Yeah. One source also said that it was reported he had charges against him for raping 3 male fellow prisoners while in jail.
Oh,
that was in one source. I don't really know anything more than that one.
Lots of sex crimes. That's
out of the 6 times he was charged with sex crimes, 2 of the sex crime charges were dismissed. He pled guilty to lesser charges in 2 of the other ones, and then the last 2 he was acquitted on. And Coleman was actually set to go on trial in Illinois for charges for one of these crimes, for the rape of a 14-year-old girl, when he ended up fleeing with like Debra Brown, and that's when he began like their killing spree, basically.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. Getting into a little bit about Debra, this is all I could really find. She was born in 1962, also in Waukegan. I'm gonna say Waukegan. I'm gonna stick to that. Sorry if it's wrong. In Illinois.
That was that Waukegan?
Waukegan. Right. Yeah. It's like Waukegan. Waukegan. I'm gonna say.
Oh. Because I know we have Illinois listeners. Somebody will let us know. Hopefully.
So Debra Brown, she was one of 11 children. She was considered to be borderline intellectually disabled. She suffered head trauma as a child and was diagnosed with dependent personality disorder by a psychiatrist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I feel like that definitely comes into play with this. And Debra Brown was actually engaged to another man when she first met Coleman at a bar in 1983, but soon ended up leaving him and her family and like to go and move in with Coleman. And it's noted that Debra Brown had no history of violence or any sort of criminal history before she met Coleman. Like, it all happened after.
Okay, yeah. This is I'm seeing some similarities between our cases already. Okay.
Yeah. So getting into the
dynamic here.
Yeah, getting into this crazy crime spree, I pieced together the kind of timeline in order of how it happens the best I could based on different sources. So hopefully this is pretty accurate. Some stuff was contradictory, so I just kept what I could. So starting in Wisconsin, is when the first killing happens. This happens when Coleman is 28 and Brown is 21. And they commit their first murder with the killing of 9-year-olds Vernita Wheat.
Oh my God.
From Kenosha, Wisconsin. And
Kenosha? They talk about that on that 70s show, I'm sure of it.
Oh, okay.
Because they're in Wisconsin.
Coleman had befriended the girl's mother, Juanita, and then they had abducted Vernita, the daughter, and took her to Waukegan on May 29th, 1984.
Jeez.
So, yeah. I didn't put pictures in the drive, but they will be on the website. But a lot of the victims, like Coleman and Brown, are both Black, and a lot of the victims, except for a couple, are Black. So
okay.
Yeah, but it's mostly young kids.
I think that's even like sometimes less common. Or maybe I'm thinking of like Indigenous women, and their crimes are usually people outside of their race. Like, I can't remember kind of how the statistics go, I guess, but
well, it's normally people feel comfortable going with in their same race because it's who they can like lure and stuff.
Right. So, I would feel like typically that would probably be the case.
Yeah. They get into it. I actually have some stuff they talk about, like the MO and kind of breakdown, because there was a criminal profile when they were trying to figure out who was doing it and how they could kind of track them, where they might go next. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't put pictures up either. Don't worry. I was like, oh, pictures. I could have done that.
But there is like jumping around because they go between these 6 states, like kind of back and forth a little bit. So that was Wisconsin. That was the one crime. The second, then in Illinois, Vernita's badly decomposed body was found later on June 19th. It was in an abandoned building just 4 blocks from Coleman's grandmother's apartment. And because they had like taken her from Wisconsin to Illinois, like they had abducted her across state lines. So
okay, I was gonna ask, they took her, like the mother and the daughter?
No, just the daughter.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just seeing if I get some pictures.
Yeah, so they took her, they found like Vernita's body in that abandoned building just 4 blocks from Coleman's grandmother's apartment. And Vernita had been raped before being strangled to death with a ligature, which is kind of their MO. And 2 days after Vernita's death, on May 31st, Coleman befriended a man by the name Robert Carpenter in Waukegan, and he ended up sleeping at his house. And the next day, he stole Carpenter's car to go to the store, and he never came back. There's a lot of like car stealing. They seem every victim almost to steal their car.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like just a fan of crime in general. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, not all of it's like death and murder. It's a lot of thefts though. Then in Indiana, June 18th, 1984, Coleman and Brown were in Gary, Indiana, where they encountered 2 young girls. 9-year-old Annie Hilliard and her 7-year-old niece, Tamika Turks.
Her 7-year-old niece?
Yeah, I don't really...
What? Sorry, okay. All right.
Multiple sources said niece, so... I think it's,
Interesting.
yeah, it must be, I don't know, somebody was born very unexpectedly. An accident, maybe, perhaps? I don't know.
Right. I know it can
Yeah.
happen. I know you can be like close in age to a niece or nephew, depending on how old your sibling is in
Yeah.
comparison to you. So, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Coleman and Brown had lured the girls and brought them to a secluded wooded area where they had tied them up.
Oh.
Yeah. Tamika had started crying and said she was brutally stomped by Coleman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then carried away, and he thought he was leaving for her for dead. And then 9-year-old Annie, who is now alone and tied up, was forced to perform oral sex on both Coleman and Brown,
Oh
and
my
then she was
God.
raped. Yeah.
Wow.
Afterward, the couple could hear Tamika moaning, like out in the forest where they had left her. So they went back to her and strangled her with a belt, and then knew, like, at that point that she had been killed. They then attempted to strangle Annie with the belt too, but she survived. And I think they left her because they must have assumed she was dead. But
Oh.
she had actually survived, and she was found by a passerby. And she helped lead them back, I think a few days later, to find Tamika's partially decomposed body on June 19th, the same day that Vernita's body was actually found. And they had been killed. When was this? They had been killed like 2 weeks apart, but they found their bodies on the same day from the two
Okay.
victims. Yeah.
Oh, that poor little girl.
Yeah. Then somehow the couple ended up back in Michigan the next day. So this is the day after. Yeah, so they kill the try to kill the two girls on June 18th. The next day, June 19th, Donna Williams, a 25-year-old woman from Gary, disappeared after being befriended by the couple. And June 26th, Donna's car was found in Detroit, and it contained Coleman's fingerprints and a fake ID that belonged to Brown. So police kind of start piecing together based on fingerprints from like these stolen vehicles and these items being left. They are kind of
Okay.
figuring out it's the same couple.
Because his prints are on file. It's his prints they found.
Yeah, his
Okay.
prints, and now they have a fake ID from her, so they're kind of piecing it together a little
Right.
bit.
Okay.
On July 11th, Williams, so this is jumping ahead to when her body was found, in Detroit, Michigan, inside an abandoned building about half a mile from where her car was found. They weren't able to determine if she had been raped or not, but she had been like strangled. So that's, as I said, kind of their MO.
Right. Dang.
So just 5 days after Donna's death, on June 24th, the couple kidnapped a 28-year-old Detroit woman at knife point and demanded to be driven to Ohio. This woman I don't know the name of, but she intentionally crashed her car into a parked truck and was able to run away, like ditch her car and the couple, and she just like
Oh my
fucking booked it
God.
and got away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Good for her, because yeah, she intentionally crashed her car into a parked truck.
She was like, I am not getting taken to that second
Yeah.
location.
Yes.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Wow.
4 days after this, June 28th, Coleman and Brown broke into the home of 62-year-old Palmer and 59-year-old Marge Jones that live in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. They ended up beating this couple up pretty severely, and Coleman ripped the telephone cord from their wall before stealing their money and their car. So they weren't dead. Then another few days later, July 2nd now, the couple entered the Detroit home of 55-year-old Marion Gaston and the
Gaston.
Gaston and the companion of 55-year-old Mary Billups. So they had befriended Mary before, and she kind of like invited them back to their house, and so they were like back with the two. And the pair ended up being tied up, gagged, beaten with a wrench. And
what the?
Yeah, Gaston's car was stolen and the pair left for Ohio. Um, by this point, as I kind of alluded to, the FBI had already gotten involved and they were starting to create a profile on Coleman to help try and track their next moves. And the FBI accurately predicted that eventually the couple would start to go backwards or begin to return to their comfort zone, they called it. Like, even though they were leading away state by state, that they would start creeping back to head towards home again eventually.
Okay.
So back in Ohio, Toledo specifically, July 5th, the couple met and were invited to the home of Reverend Ernie Jackson. And through him, they learned the address of a single mother who, I don't know if it was during the time, like, at his house that she had come, like, to visit the Reverend, this single mother. And then they somehow managed to get her address out of him. I don't know, it was really weird.
Right. Maybe they were smooth about it. Like,
yeah,
it said nice.
Yeah, it said they were really good. They like befriended elderly people and people that were like upstanding citizens that would just want to help them out because they're down on their luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem like they were good at manipulating people.
Yeah. So the next day, July 6th, the couple go to the house of Virginia Temple, this woman that had visited the Reverend. Virginia Temple had 5 children, and they ended up having dinner at her house. During the night or early the next day, the couple forced Virginia and her 10-year-old daughter, Rochelle, into the basement where they were beaten and both strangled and their bodies put inside of the crawl space.
That's horrible. Also, that's my mom's name. I'm Virginia's daughter.
I do have to say, I love the name Rochelle. He killed both of them. Or they killed both of them.
You don't love the name Virginia?
I do.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure I've said it before.
Yeah, no, Rochelle's good
like
too.
Rochelle. Yeah.
Yeah. I've met a few Rochelles. A Rochelle and a Rochelle.
Yeah. After Virginia had stopped contacting her family, authorities were called and they entered the home where they found the younger children alone and frightened. And then obviously, like, they found their bodies in the crawl space. It couldn't be confirmed if Virginia Temple had been sexually assaulted or not. I think due to decomposition, but Rochelle definitely had been. 10-year-old Rochelle had been. And the house had also been robbed of clothing and a bunch of jewelry.
Such a pedophile.
Yeah. And it seems to escalate because on the same morning as the Temple murders, so like they've already murdered 2 people, the couple then enters the home of 77-year-old Frank and 73-year-old Dorothy Duvendak in Toledo. They left the couple bound with electrical cords and gagged with paper tissues. And Coleman and Brown stole the couple's money and their car. And weirdly, Mrs. Duvendak's stolen watch was later found under the body of another victim, which kind of helps them piece together, be like, these are related. Like, we're finding a lot of... It happens more than once. They find stolen items from one of the victims with another victim. So, like, it's very easy to piece together and implicate them in all of these.
Really trying to hide their tracks that well.
No.
A little sloppy there, guys.
This one, this might be the next day. It says later that day. But I refuse to believe they had 6 victims in one day, because that's a little insane. Later that day, Coleman and Brown visited the home of 79-year-old Reverend Miller Gay and his wife Catherine, who was 77. The couple stayed with the Gays and went with them to a religious service on July 9th. And this one seems kind of weird, but they actually come back and revisit this couple if you think they were kind of lucky. They don't end up being lucky in the end. The next day, the gays dropped off the couple in downtown Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're safe for now.
Yeah, for a couple days.
Oh no.
July.
That's okay. I don't need to know anymore. I'm out.
Right? I'm just like, holy shit.
Oh, it's a lot.
Insane. Yeah. July 11th or 12th, Toni Story, a 15-year-old girl who lived in Cincinnati, disappeared. She was last seen the day before in the company of a black man and woman, and Coleman was later identified by a witness. I think like that witness. Her body was found 8 days later, very badly decomposed inside of a vacant apartment building. And a bracelet that was stolen from Virginia Temple was found under Story's body. And
what the fuck?
Toni Story had been strangled, but it wasn't possible to tell if she had been raped or not due to the decomposition.
Probably though.
Yeah. The day after Tony's disappearance, the FBI added Coleman to the 10th most wanted list. He was in the special edition place as number 11 on the 10 most wanted list.
Oh, okay. That's like an honorable mention.
Yeah,
no, but it's good.
Coleman. Yeah, Coleman was only the 10th person, I guess, to have been added to this 11th spot on the list since the list was started in 1950.
Okay, so there's like 9 number 11s before him.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
At this point, Coleman and Brown rode bicycles into the Norwood neighborhood on July 13th at about 9:30 a.m.
Norwood? That was Rains Elementary School.
Oh.
And so, like, that was our old neighborhood.
It's not this, because you don't live in...
I know.
Yeah. Where are they? Yeah, so this is about 9:30 in the morning, and less than 3 hours later, the couple drove away in a car that belonged to 45-year-old Harry Walters. Harry and his wife, who's 44-year-old Marlene, had been forced into the basement, bound and gagged, and then beaten. Marlene had died from multiple blunt force injuries inflicted with a crowbar and pliers. And
Jeez.
Harry was found still semi-conscious. They were found by their 19-year-old daughter, Sherry. And jumping ahead a little bit later, but Harry Waters later testified against the couple, like when they were on trial after they had been caught. He was able to say that they were interested in purchasing a camper from them when Coleman had suddenly attacked Harry with a wooden candlestick.
Wow, okay.
The coroner later said that Marlene had been hit 20 to 25 times during her assault, and there were shards of a broken soda bottle that had Coleman's fingerprints. It was found in the living room, and that bloody footprints made by 2 different shoes were found in the basement, where the couple was found. The stolen red Plymouth that they took from the couple, along with money, jewelry, and shoes, were found. 2 bikes, clothing, and shoes that did not belong to the Walters were left behind by Coleman and Brown at the scene. So again, like, they're just kind of leaving stuff behind at each scene now that belongs to like one of the previous victims.
It does seem very purposeful, because sometimes it's below the body. Like,
they kind of mention it, and we'll get to it. They had strategies to avoid detection that included like changing their clothes and like disguises and their mode of transportation like constantly. Yeah. So the next victims are in Kentucky. 2 days later, Walter's red Plymouth was found abandoned in Kentucky, where Coleman and Brown, now with the help of this accomplice named Thomas Harris. I only found in one source that it said they had this random accomplice. So I don't know how this came about. Multiple sources talked about this like crime, but they didn't talk about the accomplice, so I have no idea what happens with him. He's never mentioned anywhere else. But they kidnapped a man named Oline Carmichael or Carmichael, because there was two different spellings. I'm gonna say Carmichael. Carmichael Jr., who was 33. He was a college professor from Williamsburg. From a hotel parking lot, they abducted him.
Damn.
I think they abducted him in his own car, and the group ended up placing a call to Carmichael's wife, demanding a ransom for his safe return, and drove back to Ohio with Carmichael locked in the trunk of his car. However, like this pickup, yeah, it's kind of weird. This pickup was arranged, and when it came to the time that the couple was supposed to show up to get their money, they actually never showed up to the pickup location. And then
that's weird.
Yeah, on July 17th, the group abandoned the stolen vehicle in Dayton, and Carmichael was later rescued from the trunk of his car by authorities when they found the car.
What? That's not how kidnapping works, you guys.
I know, so weird. Okay, the last few. Just a couple more. Back in Dayton.
He survived in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's just random things of like people surviving.
And you know, some of the old ones I heard, I think it's older cars, have like a thing inside the trunk that if you know, like a latch or something that you're supposed to be able to, if you can find it, get it so you can get out of the trunk if you're ever locked in there.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know where it is. I should look it up.
I have a funny story of me and my mom, one of my mom's really good friends, her kids, one by one, while their vehicle was parked in our driveway, of them one by one locking us in the trunk and showing us where the thing was in that vehicle so we could get out.
Well, that's, I mean, good practice.
Just like the mom standing in the driveway, they will lock each of us 3 kids, like age 10, in the trunk of a car and make us escape.
That's not traumatic at all. No, that's probably fine. Well, now you know. Where was it?
I can't remember. Honestly, I was probably too young.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know.
So back in Dayton, July 17th, Coleman and Brown returned to the home of Reverend Gay and his wife.
Oh.
Sadly. This time they come with the guns, because somehow they acquired guns. I'm not sure how. Reverend Gay, who at this point recognized Coleman as a wanted fugitive, because when they first showed up, like, he didn't know. So I assume they were kind of probably the news and stuff. Yeah. So Reverend Gay, he told the couple he knew who they were and probably asked them to leave. There was an altercation that took place, and Millard, the husband, was pistol whipped, and the Gays were then tied up, where they attempted to strangle the wife Catherine, but were unsuccessful. The couple stole some of their money as well as their car, and then after this they ended up, like, I think maybe going back into the house to make one more final attempt to try and kill Catherine by shooting her, but the gun ended up malfunctioning.
Oh my god.
So they left her, and clothing that belonged to Virginia Temple was found at this scene as well.
They still have some of her stuff? Wow.
Yeah.
So then they got the husband, but they just couldn't kill Catherine.
They didn't kill either of them in that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So in Illinois, Coleman and Brown took their car, drove back to Evanston, where on July 19th, the body of Eugene Scott, age 79, was found in a ditch outside of Indianapolis. And Scott had been shot and stabbed repeatedly. His car was later found parked near where the couple were finally arrested. So,
yay!
Yeah, that's their crime spree, right? I'm like, that's their crime spree. It was really hard to piece together because some sources said dates and some were like 2 days later and the next day and 3 days after that, and I'm like, fucking tell me the date. It's too complicated.
Well, that would make it harder for the cops too, and they're moving all around state lines. Yeah,
between 6 states, like over 53 days, I think it said. So the couple were finally apprehended on July 20th, 1984 in Evanston. The couple had been walking across an intersection when they had actually passed in front of a person who had grown up in Coleman's neighborhood. So he actually knew, like, had grown up with Coleman and knew who he was. Wow. This person ended up driving to a gas station where they called the police from a payphone and kind of told them, hey, the couple are in this area. And the couple was spotted sitting on portable bleachers in an empty park. 2 officers approached Coleman while Brown was seen trying to leave the park. She ended up being stopped, and officers were searching her, and they found a gun in her purse. And then the pair was taken into custody, it said without incident, and transported to a police station. Where police were able to identify them by their fingerprints, kind of left at various scenes. It said when Coleman was strip searched, police found a steak knife in between 2 pairs of socks that he was wearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weapon of choice.
Yeah. They also found a shopping bag full of t-shirts and hats. And the officers learned through their interrogations that the couple stopped every 3 to 4 blocks while they were walking, and they changed shirts and hats.
You would think changing shirts would attract a little bit more attention than you
want. Just walking down the street every 3 to 4 blocks, changing your shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A shirtless woman is usually going to attract some attention.
Yeah, in 1984. The couple, I didn't get into it really, but the couple also had various aliases that they were using. It had a whole list of them online, I found. Mostly it was just variations of each of their names, so I didn't really get into it. But one of them, for Coleman, said that he went by the name Pissy. So I was like, was that a name he was now giving to people? Saying his name was fucking Pissy? Like, I don't know.
He's really embracing it now.
I guess so. Now, with their arrest, more than 50 law enforcement officials from 6 different jurisdictions met and tried to begin to plan their strategy on how to even begin to start prosecuting the couple. Because, like, everybody has all these crimes that they need to charge them with and do trials, and it's all separate because it's different states. Like, it's kind of a gong show.
Right.
So after they kind of met up, many of these jurisdictions agreed that they really wanted to seek the death penalty against the 2. So they really focused on convicting them in those states, like the ones that had the death penalty. And it was decided to give Ohio the first attempt at sentencing them, with one of the U.S. attorneys stating, quote, "We are convinced that prosecution in Ohio can most quickly and most likely result in the swiftest imposition of the death penalty against Alton, Coleman, and Debra Brown." End quote.
They killed a lot of people.
Yeah. Like, the couple were tried separately, actually, in each state. During the Ohio and Illinois trials, Coleman actually acted as his own lawyer.
Okay.
Lovely.
Very Ted Bundy of you.
I love it when they do this. They're so fucking stupid. But I think it's really bad because in doing this, Coleman ended up being allowed to cross-examine Brown as, like, a witness and stuff. So he got to interrogate her on the stand, and he tried to make this as an attempt to make it look like she was the one that had murdered Marlene Walters and not him. I don't know why they just said, like, that specific one. But obviously the strategy didn't really work. During the trial, it was kind of talked about that their MO typically involved Coleman luring or approaching their victims with some sort of ruse, or even just using force. They mainly befriended those described as good Samaritans and the elderly couples during their spree.
Preying on the kindest of people.
Yeah, exactly. They gagged, bound, often beat their victims, mostly with blunt instruments and sometimes even fatally. Most of their attacks were described as coming about of some sort of necessity, like needing money, goods, or a different car if they wanted to switch cars to help them move better from state to state. And usually when the victim was raped, the pair would use ligature strangulation to kill them, and at least 2 cases they used a gun. And then in their last murder, they also stabbed the victim.
Yeah, that was weird. It's all over the place.
Yeah. For their convictions, just to quickly run through from Wikipedia, it said that the state of Ohio convicted Coleman and Brown, finding them guilty of the rape and murder of Tony Story in Cincinnati and Marlene Walters in Norwood, but not for the murders of Virginia. And this one says Rachel or Rochelle.
Rochelle,
but
yeah.
The other one said like Rochelle with like an R. Rochelle. Temple in Toledo. So they weren't found guilty. No, with an O.
Oh. I was like,
but not for the murders of Virginia and Rochelle in Toledo, and Coleman and Brown were both sentenced to death.
I wonder why.
Coleman, Coleman's case was sent to the U.S. Supreme Court several times between 1985 and 2002, but these numerous arguments that his convictions and death sentences were unconstitutional failed to sway the justices of the Supreme Court.
Good.
Yeah. However, Coleman's death sentence in relation to the Story killing was overturned in a separate proceeding. Despite this, Coleman's death sentence in relation to the Walters murder remained upheld. And in addition to death sentences, Coleman and Brown were each sentenced to 20 years in prison for transporting their kidnapping victim, Oline Carmichael, across state lines.
Okay.
Brown was sentenced to death in Ohio and Indiana, but they were later reduced to life without parole in Ohio and then sentenced to 140 years from Indiana.
Wow.
So she's not given the death sentence anymore, which the victims' families were pretty mad about. Tamika Turk's mother said, quote, "Debra Brown was right there with Coleman committing the same crimes, so she bears the same responsibility for them, and she should share his punishment."
Yeah.
While waiting on death row, Coleman was diagnosed with mixed personality disorder, antisocial, narcissistic, and obsessive features, with additional diagnoses including epileptic spasms, psychosis, and borderline personality disorder. So it sounds like Coleman's just got everything.
It's like still, you're supposed to be able to work through that stuff. You just don't kill people.
So the Ohio Supreme Court ended up rejecting Coleman's attorneys who wanted to limit, this is getting into his execution, sorry. They wanted to limit the number of victims or survivors that wanted to view his execution because they said that it would turn into, quote, a spectator sport. Well, they had so many victims. They want to see him put to death. They're like, oh, damn. It's going to be, too many people.
Yeah,
but they rejected
really
that.
The killer's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Many victims and survivors were able to view his execution from a venue that was set up outside, and they ran CCTV footage from the room I guess he was being executed in, so they could view it from outside of the prison. And Alton Coleman was executed by lethal injection in Ohio on April 26, 2002 at the age of 46.
Holy. Still young.
It did say, yeah, he's really young, right? Before his execution, he released a letter that was apologizing for what he had done. I don't really know.
Okay. It's thanks.
Yeah. From Wikipedia, it said that Reginald Wilkinson, director of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, said Coleman had not directly expressed remorse for the killings, but that he had, quote, admitted what he's done in his own convoluted way. So, yeah, like, whatever. Great. So he basically said he killed the people, but he doesn't have remorse.
That sucks.
Weirdly, at the time of his execution, he was the only condemned person in the United States to have death sentences in at least 3 states. So, like, congratulations? I don't know.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah. Getting into Brown's prison sentence, she was originally sentenced to be executed, but was commuted to that life in prison sentence in 1991, citing her pretty low IQ scores. Ranging, they said, from 59 to 74. So, like, that is pretty low.
Okay.
Yeah, they also cited that there was a sort of, like, master-slave relationship between Coleman and Brown, saying that Coleman had influenced her actions, and that Brown was initially unrepentant for her parts in the killing spree, like, while in prison. To the point that during the sentencing phase of her first Ohio trial, she sent a note to the judge which read in part, quote, "I killed the bitch and I don't give a damn. I had fun out of it." End quote.
Yeah, they
That's so shitty. Yeah. As far as I could tell, Brown is still serving her sentence without the possibility of parole in a prison in Ohio. And she finally expressed remorse for her crimes when she apologized to the victims' families in a video that was released in 2005.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. There has been some stuff as to part of, like, possibly a racial motive in the crimes. Some authorities believe that the couple, who were both Black themselves, and usually selected Black victims, partly because they would blend into the community better. Like, if the community is mostly Black, they probably wouldn't be noticed walking around as much. They also noted that their crimes lacked any sort of racial motive. One source said that Coleman and Brown also allegedly left a racist slogan written in lipstick at the scene of the rape and murder of Tony Story, one of their victims who was not Black. She was like, I think she was a 15-year-old girl. Yeah. And
weird.
Then the last thing I wanted to get into is just the profile that they worked up, because this was from Criminal Minds fandom.com, which I love Criminal Minds. So anytime there's, like, a case that has spanned or influenced multiple Criminal Minds episodes, they, like, kind of had a write-up on the Criminal Minds website about the case. Yeah. And this actually had a bunch of cool stuff, saying that John Douglas, good old FBI agent John Douglas, who was part of the investigative support unit, was called in during the Coleman Brown manhunt. And he was asked to make a fugitive assessment. So this is what he had to say. This is quoted from the Criminal Minds site. It said that it was pretty clear that Coleman was the dominant personality of the duo, and that he was prompted to embark on an interstate rampage when stress caused by his court appearance became unbearable to him. Said from his background and rap sheet, Douglas was able to deduce that what motivated him were his fantasies of sexually dominating and controlling other people, because, like many other serial rapists, this is what made him feel good and satisfied in his life, a satisfaction he certainly didn't get from personal accomplishments or relationships. The fact that the fact that most of his violence was directed against other Black people spoke of the essentially sexual nature of his crimes rather than some general rage against society, which was also there and showed up in later acts, like the beating of Mary Billups and Marion Gaston. It said that he went into some sort of delirious tirade about how Black people were forcing him to murder other Black people, as if this could somehow explain and justify his actions. Yeah, there was, like, some weird tirade he went on during one of the attacks, and like the victim survived, so they were talking about that.
I don't get that.
Yeah. It says, since all he ever knew was a life of lawlessness from an early age, Coleman was able to assimilate his sexual crimes into a way of providing for himself, like it was sort of his own job. It says that's why he robbed and carjacked his victims in addition to raping, beating, and killing them. So like,
I mean, you gotta make your money somehow.
He's like, they would steal food, they would steal money, they would steal the car for transportation, things like that. Also, profilers correctly deduced that Coleman couldn't stay too long from someplace he found familiar or secure, and once he was out of the Chicago area, he was out of his element. And it said, in fact, they even predicted the highway that he eventually took back home, like which one he drove back on. And in regards to like Debra Brown, who Douglas personally interviewed while she was in prison, he found her to be very passive, a compliant person who would be defined by whoever was influencing her. They said her relationship with Coleman was almost one of slave to master, and on the other hand, she never displayed any evidence of a conscience, and if again was put under the influence of someone like Coleman, John Douglas thought that she could even resume where she left off. If like,
that's not good.
That. Yeah.
Keep an eye on her.
But that's the end. It was a wild ride when I started looking into it. I couldn't believe I'd never heard of this before. If anybody knows their nickname or whatever that I couldn't find, please let me know. Because I was Googling their names and then Googling nicknames, trying to look everything I could. I couldn't find whatever they were called again.
Maybe it was just something that one author made up.
Maybe. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, everything they got up to.
I know. What could you call them? Because I don't know. They were good enough not to get caught for a while. But other than that, they were
but they did a lot. There was like,
I
can't remember. One of the sites had a breakdown of like everything. It was pretty crazy. Like this many murders, this many beatings, this many rapes, this many robberies, how many cars they stole, like everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, they just don't care what crime it is. They just like crime.
Yeah, that's what their spree was basically about. They were just angry and taking out on anybody that crossed their paths, really.
Yeah, or they called them the master-slave dynamic a lot. Something to do with that, maybe? I don't know. That's crazy, though.
I think it was just that he was, like, dominant personality over her and stuff, but yeah.
She was easily influenced, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well.
Dang.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking through it.
At one point, there was an ice cream truck coming down my street. I was like,
and you're like, oh, happier times.
Track. Yeah. I'm looking around trying to distract myself. And my search bar, it told me it's. I see this piece of chocolate cake, and I hover over it. And it's like World Chocolate Day. I'm like, I'm gonna need some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we survived. I got through it. Thanks for listening, and we'll take a break and be back for more.
Yes. Listen to this independent podcaster promo. Did that make sense? Listen to this independent podcaster promo. Listen to this lovely Darkcast promo.
Yeah.
Autumn's Oddities is a strange and unusual podcast made by The Strange and Unusual, me, Autumn Gruby. Each week, I'll be taking you through some of the creepiest cases true crime has to offer. It won't only be true crime, I'll also be covering cryptids, haunted places, haunted things, and the true stories that inspired horror movies. Listen every Monday and Friday for new episodes. And remember, if it's creepy and weird, you'll find it here.
Okay, we're back in your ears with another case of another dynamic duo. No, another deadly duo.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, we're not okay. These are these are rough ones. And then next time we're doing government conspiracy, so it's gonna be oh, they're gonna be coming for us if anyone ever listens to this show. Don't forget to rate and review.
Yeah, we want to get a notice by the government. No.
Yeah, that's how we'll know we've made it.
A cease and desist.
Yeah. By now, our bonus episodes come out. Our promo, our cruel summer. I mean, yeah. So hopefully you guys like that and maybe found some new podcasts too.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. I'm excited to hear what the other stories are. I haven't heard yours. I haven't heard.
Yeah, I don't know what. I know the name of yours. I haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mine ended up being pretty short. It was like 8 or 9 minutes. But
it's amazing how fast we can go when we don't have each other to interrupt. Yeah. Oh, I think it's gonna be cool. But anyway, yeah. Hope you like that, and then you'll be getting some more tastes of some cool shows like that in August. So
yeah, it's right.
Get ready.
Taking our break. We won't have any new episodes in August, but
that's right.
Spotlighting some of our dark cast co-podcasts.
Our colleagues, yes. Yeah. I know we have a lot of good ones to choose from, so I'm actually very excited to start looking and picking and stuff, and then we're gonna work on some stuff, behind the scenes, and who knows, you guys. Great things will happen. Don't forget to rate and review. I'm like, we have less than 20 on Spotify still.
Aw, yeah, please review us. Do it. At least rate us. Give us a rate. If you don't want to do a review, at least give us a rating.
A rate is easy, or a like if you're on the YouTubes. Yeah, that's very easy. And tell your friends. Okay. Oh, and we dropped a bunch on Patreon recently, finally. Well, at least the long-awaited June Patreon, which was, I called it Retro Recap, Mars Attacks, Earth Reacts.
Yeah.
And then that was fun. That was a fun one. And then we also did our other video-sode or whatever. So, Idiots of the Internet.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It was funny.
Yeah. I like doing those. Yeah, we might even do one for YouTube proper where we just do a little mini sode or whatever.
Yeah.
But stay tuned and all that jazz, and subscribe to YouTube. So, mine has a nickname for this couple, and I do love a good nickname. Yeah. Even if, they're generally not maybe a great thing that we do for killers. I know that. I get that. Like, don't want to glorify them any more than we have to, but this is the story of Raymond Martinez Fernandez and Martha Beck, aka the Lonely Hearts Killers.
Yeah. I've heard the nickname. I don't know necessarily if I've heard the case.
Yeah. I don't know if I had even heard of the Lonely Hearts Killers. I've heard of Lonely Hearts Club bands and other things.
Yeah.
This is more the personal ads. We'll see. So
okay.
It's a little before your case. Raymond was born on December 17th, 1914 in Hawaii to Spanish parents, which makes him a Sagittarius. Yeah. Yeah, so Hawaii, so he's American, but Spanish immigrated parents, I guess. Hawaii is a real melting pot, from what I understand. There's a lot of people that move from a lot of places there, I guess.
I mean, it's just beautiful and great. So
right.
I would love to. I would
Why
be
wouldn't
in
you
Hawaii
conquer those
so
islands?
Fucking fast. I'd be in Hawaii so fucking fast.
I know, I've never been. We need to go.
Me neither. Yeah.
One of the podcasters I listened to, the Spill the Mead girls with the history podcast. One of them was originally from Hawaii. I was just like, wait, what?
Oh,
You're both so white. No. Anywho's it. So his family moved around a few times. They ended up living in Connecticut for a while, and then as Ray grew into a young man, he went to work for his uncle in Spain. So, yeah, he's traveling. He was married to a woman named, well, it's Spanish, so Encarnacion Robles. I'm going to go with that. And had a kid by age 20. So, I mean, same, but okay. Then World War II came along, and he served with the Spanish Merchant Army, I guess, before serving with the British intelligence services. So, I guess he was spying. He was a spy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the British just hire anybody to help them.
Him. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't have to be British. They're like, Spanish, you're conquerors. We'll have you. No.
Yeah, it's true.
Then he returned to the U.S. to find a job, and in the process, abandoning his wife, and their, by this point, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 children.
Wow, dick move.
He sucks. Yeah. Yours they didn't have any children.
No,
probably for the best.
It seemed like they were only together for maybe a year or so.
Okay.
Or even less. So yeah.
And he was 46?
No, he was 28 and she was 21.
When they started, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty young.
Start them young. Start your criming.
Yeah.
That Puss in Boots with the, we're a family of crimers. It's just...
No, I still haven't seen the new one.
Oh my god, Rain loves it. She was so impressed with the animation. Anyway, she knows about these things. I was like, we're going to make you watch Zorro, because that's basically who Puss in Boots is. So you're going to like Zorro.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Get this part. On his way back to America on the ship, I put in an immediate twist of fate, or perhaps karmic retribution. He suffered a head injury when a steel hatch fell on him, fracturing his skull and damaging his frontal lobe.
No.
So, similarity. Yours had a head injury, if I recall.
Yeah, she had a head injury. Debra Brown did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, that can, like, especially for him to damage his frontal lobe, that could really change his personality.
Yeah.
So he was hospitalized for 3 months, then turned to a life of crime after he had landed in prison for stealing some clothes. Also, when he's in prison, I guess, allegedly, his Haitian cellmate taught him some voodoo, and he now basically believed he was irresistible to the opposite sex, and anyone attracted to men, I should say, I guess, but
I'm sure he was not.
Yeah, but was there not voodoo in your guy's childhood too that you
Yeah,
talked
just
about?
offhandedly it said his grandma made him kill an animal and dismember it for voodoo spell or something.
Oh God, yeah, that childhood was rough. No wonder he turned out so fucked up.
Right?
I was not ready for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Only a
But
couple
makes
sources even
sense.
talked about it, and I was like, okay,
Really?
yeah. Yeah.
I know it's hard. Sometimes you see cases like that and you're like, I don't even want it. It's so much to have to like
Yeah.
research it. It's hard, yeah, but I mean, it does happen, obviously, where that spurs them into being the killers that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1946 was Raymond's first romantic con. He met a woman at a Lonely Hearts Club and dated her until she trusted him enough to let her into the bank account or what have you, so he could, take her money.
He's a swindler.
He's a Tindler Swindler of the pre-Tindler days. Which, it's so sad. It's been happening for so long, and now it's just happening in the modern day. And
Yeah.
I even saw it on someone's like healthcare application that I was processing the other day, where it was like, that's what they put for their reason for moving to this province, was that they were the victim of romantic fraud. I was like, oh, I think they're probably moving to be closer to their children because they were like a senior. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah.
People need to just like get off their ass and just fucking get a job. Like, oh my God.
Get a job. Na, 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 na. Yeah. Okay. The next one he dated and even brought back to Spain for a bit, but I'm sure ultimately just cleaned her out too. So that's how he got his start. And then we'll move on to his partner in crime, Martha. She was born Martha Jewel Seabrook on May 6, 1920 in Florida, which makes her a Taurus. So she had a glandular problem that led to her being overweight and some like she entered premature puberty, had some related issues to that. Okay. So I think she struggled also, kind of like the woman in your case, but in a different way, I guess.
Yeah.
Like she seemed to be, you know, intelligent enough, I guess. So she ends up her adult name or her married name would be Beck, so I'm going to be calling her Martha Beck. So Beck later said that her brother sexually assaulted her at a young age and that her mother was also abusive. Oh. Sorry, I forgot to trigger warning because I forgot that mine had some of that also, because of course it does. Yeah. Thankfully, nothing I read went into any detail, but sorry, laughing at Gordo in case we don't cut out my little giggle.
I'm just holding him and like he's happily purring for now.
He's like, I'm good now. I got mom's attention.
He doesn't normally let me hold him.
Yeah.
He normally doesn't like to be like held. So I'm kind of surprised he's like letting me basically hug him right now.
Right, he's not kind of the lap jumper type necessarily.
Well, he'll lay on top of you, but he doesn't like arms around him. So yeah.
Yeah, because I know Fen can get picky about stuff too. Like, don't pat his head too hard. Like, he'll duck his head because he'd be like, I don't want my head petted. Like, you gotta pet him the right way. Like, scratch his butt or whatever. We used to have a cat. This cat kind of lived with a few different people. So his name was Bo, and if you scratched his butt, I know it was after Mr. Bojangles. Yeah. Wait, I think that one's a song. Anyway, he used to belong to our friend Megan at one point, and if you scratched his butt, he would start licking his front paw as if it was like a like a knee-jerk reaction. Like he couldn't not lick his front paw if you started scratching his butt. It was weird.
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of a fun fact about Martha. As a teen, Martha Beck ran away from home to join a traveling circus. And writer Truman Capote later claimed to have briefly toured with Beck when he was 10 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. It's like literally somebody actually went to a traveling circus. That's not just a threat you made. She actually went on to nursing school, but after that struggled to find a job.
Sorry, he just bit me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Fuck off.
I was like over keeping all this in. You threw it on your headphones. I'm like, throws down the headphones. This is going in the outtakes.
Because he won't stop. Because if you keep pushing him away or anything, he thinks it's a game. So he keeps trying to do it because he wants you to play with him.
Right.
And the only way I've figured out to get him to stop is literally to spray him with water, even though you aren't really supposed to. But
yeah, well, what other? I know.
When
it's
he's like literally
negative reinforcement. Yeah, what else can you do?
Yeah, he'll literally like latch on my ankles until they're like bleeding, and he will not let go. So yeah, no.
That does not feel good.
No.
No, at least I get annoyed because Fenn's so heavy, and then he'll scratch, and then his claws end up bruising, but they're not like sharp. At least they're not very sharp. They're more blunted. But
no, and Gordo's like intentionally trying to hurt you. So
he's such a little jackass. Sorry.
Yeah, he can be. Yeah.
It just. I don't know why it just looks funny because he looks so cute, but he's also being so fucking vicious that I'm like, oh my god, you little dick. Anyway, where was I? So she went to nursing school, then struggled to find a job. And she also moved around a bit and then ended up settling back in her home state of Florida when she returned home pregnant with her first child. When it didn't work out with the baby daddy, or as one article said meanly, refused to marry her. So I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know exactly how that went. But yeah, anyway, she was pregnant, came home. It's probably the times, right? Like, you don't have to get married. Anyway. It's 2023. But this was the freaking 40s or whatever. So she went back home and told everyone that the baby daddy had died in the Pacific War. All right.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's one way to solve it.
Yeah. And then she met a bus driver named Alfred Beck and had his child. Popped the first one out, of course. Now she's had her second. She did marry him. That's where she got her last name, obviously. And then they divorced about 6 months later, so it didn't work out there either.
Okay, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't meant to be, I suppose.
Yeah.
Was this pre-birth control? I mean, probably, right? Like,
yeah.
It was harder to avoid, I'm sure. So by 1946, the single mother of two starts working at the Pensacola Hospital for Children. Pensatucky. No, I'm just kidding. Remember?
No.
Oh, that's Orange is the New Black. I don't know. It's like a combination of Pensacola and Kentucky or something. I forget. They call her that, though. It's where Roman Reigns is from, my wrestler that I like. So Beck escaped. I got this from a quote from somewhere. Beck escaped into a fantasy world, buying romance magazines and novels and watching romantic movies. So she would have loved Outlander.
Yeah.
Just as I leave the library today, there's a stand by the front, kind of where, like, they'll do at bookstores where you like authors or not staff picks and that kind of stuff that they're highlighting. I go, oh, is there anything I'm looking on my way out? But I've already got a heavy bag full of like 8 books. And it's like, there's a book up front there and it's In the Arms of a Highlander or something like that. I'm like, oh, damn. Should have grabbed that.
I think I've seen that. I go to chapters sometimes and check out how many of like the J.R. Ward Black Digger Brotherhood books they have, and then I feel like that's always fairly near it. I'm like,
they did have some of those, and I was looking at the list on the inside to see which was the first book. They did have the first book of. They did have the first book of the spin-off series, the Legacy series. I was like, I could maybe. But I could probably order, like, you can look up if another branch has, the first one, and then I could probably start it that way and just make sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't start, because, like, all the side series are very entwined in it. So you kind of have to read them, basically. I'd recommend the way you want to read it is, like, the order of, like, their release, like, when in the year they were released. Between all the different series, because they all kind of blend together.
Oh, that sounds okay. There must be a list somewhere if it's not just how they're listed in the series order.
Yeah, it's a little.
It's more like their chronological order.
Yeah, of like when they were released, because she'll like do one series and then like the Black Digger Brotherhood, the main series has been going for the whole time, but these offshoots of like 5 or 6 books come in at different times, and then they stop, and then that's it for like that one.
Okay.
Kind of thing, so you have to kind of read them at the right point in the story, otherwise it's totally different characters.
No, I do understand, because there's Outlander adjacent books that are like that fit into the main storyline but aren't part of the main book series, and she'll call them short stories or bulges or I don't.
Great.
Yep, I never said that out loud before. It does sound a little weird. She calls them that.
I love that.
I love Diana Gabaldon's mind. She'll be like, and okay, then when I picture my different stories in like these shapes and like strands of storylines, and so this one had like 4 storylines. So it was like a caltrop, and I'm like to Pat, like, what the fuck is a caltrop? And he's like, oh, it's like this like weapon thing they would like put on the ground that had all these spikes coming at it. Oh my god, her brain is insane. I love it.
Yeah, same with J.R. Ward. She has a YouTube channel now.
Oh,
and it's
I bet
pretty.
She does.
It's just her. One of the first episodes was her and her friend going out to buy dog food, and they just like swear.
Oh my god,
so funny, so funny.
Oh really? Okay, I kind of
laugh. She calls it J.R. Ward runs her mouth about, and then it's like a thing. So she just
I would probably read the phone book if Diana Gabaldon wrote it. I don't know. That's an old joke kind of thing, but whatever. You know, people would say I'd watch them read the phone book or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so book tangent over. Around a year later, she's ready to put herself out there again and meet a man. So she places an ad in the newspaper in the Lonely Hearts classified ads. She said, do you like pina coladas and long walks in the rain?
Do you like pina coladas?
But you know how that one's all about him putting a classified ad in the paper, and then like his literal current girlfriend answers it, and she's like, oh, haha, it's you. Like, that's so funny.
Well, no, because technically both of them were like, people get really mad at the song, but both of them technically are looking to like cheat on them, and then it ends up being the same person. Yeah. So they're both in the wrong. Don't just hate on him, okay?
No, I agree.
Or actually, no, I think he's adding. I think the song starts, she's the one that put the first ad in, and he's answering it.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it just shows I didn't know you liked pina coladas and
yeah, because they don't talk about things anymore. You gotta
also,
talk.
There is nothing wrong with yoga. It is not a fad. It's still going strong. Anyway.
Love that song.
I don't know why that came into my head. The classified ads. The Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just came out on the for rent or whatever. We just rewatched it, although I fell asleep because I had some drinks last night, so I passed out. That was kind of sad anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'm back on track. Sorry, guys. So the ad is answered by a man named Raymond, of course. And they meet and they hit it off right away. Ray lived in New York, and he even came to visit her and stayed in Florida for a while. So it's going good. And then he was back in New York City when Martha lost her job, and she decided that she was going to move in with him.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy on this time, how they got together and like how she had her kids at first. I have here that some sources said she like showed up on the doorstep with her kids to answer the ad, and he was like, okay, I wasn't expecting kids, but we can get rid of them, or like I don't know. But obviously at some point they got together, and I do know that she eventually gave up her kids to the Salvation Army so she could devote all her time to him. So she also abandoned her children like he did.
Yeah.
Yep. Aren't they just a great pair?
Yeah, this is shitty. Sounds like two people that should not have been parents in a time when they probably weren't access to abortions and birth control.
Yeah, exactly. The poor amounts of unwanted children. At least the first set of kids from Raymond still had their mother. Yeah. Like in Spain or whatever. But these poor ones, they get put off to the Salvation Army. I'm like, I think I've shopped there before. That's like you go to Value Village or whatever to know they were like actually taking children at one point, but apparently they did. So that's what some sources say, but obviously she gave them up at some point or another. And yeah, as it had been up until now, he was, as I said, kind of doing the Tindler Swindler with the older, wealthier women, and then leaving them once the con job was up.
Okay.
And I'm sure there probably wasn't that much they could really do about it. They could probably report him, but this wasn't. Yeah, this was a new thing at the time, I would imagine. Yeah, newish. So he would, as Time magazine put it, woo his marks, gain their trust, rob them, and disappear. Up until Martha, that is. So he's obviously getting to know her and doing the whole dating routine, but one way or another, he opens up enough so that she finds out that he's been conning all these women. And instead of saying, fuck off, she's basically said, I want in. Of course. Because
why
not?
Didn't.
If she didn't, they wouldn't be a deadly duo.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Yes, I'm day drinking now. It's after 5 o'clock at this point. Anyway. So she they had a similar dynamic, I feel, because I think he was manipulating her, and that everything said that she felt kind of seen with him and seemed to feel more special because he's paying attention to her, and like she was bullied a lot for her weight and stuff like that. So yeah, she liked the attention. She certainly seemed to respond to it and maybe needed it. So now they would continue the game. They would continue the con, I should say. So now Ray would answer the personal ads, and Martha would be like around in his house and just posing as his sister and stuff like that. So
okay. She's still there.
Yeah, the women aren't like, who the hell is this woman? They're like, oh, you have such a nice relationship with your sister. Like, that's nice. I mean, you know what they say. If a guy has a good relationship with like their mom or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
maybe it's a good indication.
I'm gonna go have sex with my sister in the other room now.
Yeah. Yeah, your sister seems very jealous.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. For about 2 years, they wined, dined, and crimed these poor people who were just out there looking for love. And again, it's mostly targeted like older, wealthier women without much attachments, like big families, I guess.
Yeah.
And up until this time, they had really committed no violent crimes, just the money. But yeah, I know, it's like obviously it's going to escalate at around 1949. They at this point have their first oopsies when they give one girl too many sleeping pills and accidentally kill her. Although for that one, I couldn't get a name, so I'm not sure. And then we do know they met a 66-year-old woman named Janet Fay. And eventually, after dating, she and Ray actually got engaged.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that.
I know. I don't know that he's done that before with any of the other marks or whatever, the victims. But they did. And after, as one does, maybe, when they're engaged, they had sex, then Martha flew into a jealous rage. Just seems like you guys were setting yourselves up to fail. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
you knew this was happening, but yet the reality of it was too much for her, apparently. So she hit Janet over the head with a hammer, and then Ray finished her off. He strangled her to death.
Jeez.
So, yeah, that escalated quickly, right?
Yeah.
After that, they fled to Michigan to avoid Janet's family's suspicions. So, yeah, they're starting to move around a little bit too. And they landed in Wyoming Township, which is an interesting name for something that's just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll be processing stuff and it'll be like, this person lives on something Halifax Street and it's in the middle of Alberta. I'm like, we're nowhere near Halifax. That's in Nova Scotia. Like, they just reuse names sometimes.
Yeah. They just run out of names.
Right. In February of 1949, they met a widow, a 28-year-old Delphine Downing, which I love that name.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a great fucking name.
Yeah, Delphine.
That's a rich old lady name, if I've ever heard one.
And she's a 28-year-old widow, so she's still young.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Fuck.
She's not even old in the rich old lady name.
You're like, what if you were a widow at your age? Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, yeah.
It can happen.
Probably World War II, yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was the mother of a 2-year-old child also. And on the evening of February 28th, which happens to be my husband's birthday, but at one point in that evening, Delphine apparently became upset, so they gave her sleeping pills to placate her. Because that went so well the first time they did.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And after she passed out, or, like the sleeping pills took effect, her toddler was obviously very disturbed to see their mother in such a state, so she began to cry. So, trigger warning, they started choking the child.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're not good. This next part is just insane. Once she grew quiet, they decided, like, she wasn't dead, but they couldn't let the mom wake up to see the bruises on her unconscious child, so they shot the mom.
Well, what did they... Oh my god. It doesn't even make sense.
I don't think it does. I don't know how they got to that logic.
Yeah.
Like, you hadn't killed... Anyway. I don't know if they had planned to kill her. Obviously not. It just seemed like it just fell apart.
Yeah.
Just panic. because then they spend the next few days in the house. Then they grow tired of taking care of their victim's crying daughter, so they, trigger warning again, drowned her in like a basin.
Oh my god.
Did you not think that was going to happen when you killed her mom?
Yeah. You've between the two of you, you have 6 children. You couldn't figure out a child who would be upset.
They're not great at the kids thing.
Fuck.
Oh, I know, it's rough. And I don't even, there wasn't a lot of, although I guess I didn't have as many sources as sometimes I do. It's like I couldn't get the daughter's name, or, there wasn't a lot, which was unfortunate. It's so sad. So they buried them both in the basement and then left once, they decided the heat was probably getting to be too much with the neighbors. They're still hanging around. And yeah, the police were definitely alerted, because once they got back to their own house, they were arrested on suspicion of murder. So, turns out that police...
Good.
The police had found the grave in Delphine's house pretty quickly. They're not very good at hiding their tracks either. During the interrogation, Ray Fernandez would drop a bomb on the investigators when he confessed to a total of 17 murders.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that's
a lot.
It's really, they really don't know if that's the exact number or not, sadly. Because later he tried to recant that statement, saying he was just trying to take the fall for Martha and protect her, and all that stuff. But one thing that they hadn't kept in mind when talking to the cops was that one thing they had kept in mind when talking to the cops was that the state they were arrested in, the state of Michigan, did not have the death penalty. So they were safe, right?
No.
Right?
You can be shipped off. You can be sent away.
Right? And this is so another
doesn't matter where you were arrested. They can fucking ask you to be transported somewhere else.
Well, especially when they have so many crimes to choose from, like with your case.
Yeah. They're just like, okay, well, let's sit down, let's form a focus group, and let's
where
get
should we charge them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna cooperate, all the agencies, and
yeah.
I mean, yes, sometimes it works for people where they go to somewhere where they can't get extradited, but these guys were extradited back to New York to face charges in the murder of Janet Faye, that 66-year-old lady. And New York had the death penalty, and they had signed a 73-page confession.
Holy shit, okay. It's a really long confession.
I know, I was glad I found that detail.
That's a lot.
They like to talk, apparently.
Yeah.
They're like, give me a podcast, I'll tell you how it happened. So there in New York, they were tried and convicted of the murder of Janet Faye. And from what I could understand, they only really had enough evidence for the 4 main victims anyway. I don't want to say main victims, but they knew about Janet. They knew about, what's the other one they just caught them for? The mother, the widower. What?
Delphine.
Yes, that's her name. Thank you. And then the child.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe the girl that they knew about that had the sleeping pills maybe is the other one that they really... I don't think they had names. He had just said, oh yeah, I killed 17 in total. And they didn't really have any other evidence. So... Pardon me.
Makes sense. I mean, you can't charge somebody if you don't have a body and you don't even know who that person is. You can't be like, okay, we're going to charge you with 17 murders then just because you said 17.
Yeah, and this is going on in the early 1900s.
Yeah, you have to know that
40s.
These people were real people, or at least their identity, or
because they just answered an ad. Yeah. The shit that people used to be able to get away with, I swear.
Yeah,
like the early serial killers. Holy shit,
it's horrifying. I don't know how police have arrested anybody. Honestly, it's crazy.
yeah, we're not. Yeah, I'm pro good police. I think most police are doing their job trying to help the world. You don't get into a job like that if you aren't passionate about it. But for their sentencing, I was channeling another podcast I listened to called Small Town Murder. I like the way they do. It's two guys, right? And they're, I don't know, comedians or something. So they're a little funny. They're like, oh, we make, like they say when they do their intro that we'll make fun of the murders, but not the victims, because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags. And like they'll say stuff like that. So they whenever someone gets sentenced, they'll be like, and the judge said, you, sir, may fuck off and give me 25 years or whatever.
Nice.
So I said, the judge told him, you, sir, and madam may fuck off to the electric chair.
Yeah. Good.
Don't come back. Yes, they both got the death penalty. They were serving out their time at Sing Sing prison, which I think that's a New York one. I've heard of it.
Yeah,
before,
I've heard of it too. I don't know where it is.
I do know that. What is it? When you're writing on Word and it tries to edit and spell check and it was like,
oh,
it underlines the second sing and was like, delete repeated word, and I was like, no. It's supposed to say sing
I hate
sing.
That. Fuck. Yeah.
You don't know better than me, computer.
Yeah. I know more than you. Fuck off.
I know what I'm trying to say. Ron Swanson, I fear what you heard was give me a lot of bacon and eggs. What I said was give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
Yes.
Anyway. So I guess they even attempted a last-minute appeal, hoping for a new trial on the basis of insanity.
Please, sir, I was insane. In the membrane.
I want some more brains. Couldn't find more information about that, but I guess it did not work.
Okay.
So, yeah, last-minute appeal. But before they were put to death, Martha spoke openly about her involvement in the crimes. Because she didn't seem to care that Ray had tried to downplay or say he was saving her ass and, saying it was all him. She was like, whatever. She explained in a final interview to the press, what does it matter who is to blame? My story is a love story. But only those tortured... Sorry. I should have.
My story is a love
reaction
story.
To that.
Fuck you.
I know. I'm like, okay. I have some empathy for you, but that's tough to say with a straight face.
Yes.
But only those tortured with love can understand what I mean. I was pictured as a fat, unfeeling woman. I am not unfeeling, stupid, or moronic. In the history of the world, how many crimes have been attributed to love? So, yeah, I think she was a little brainwashed in love with him, definitely manipulated by him too. But I kind of understand what she's saying and how he made her feel and how people portrayed her. And in the ways where she's like, I was seen as this and that just because of my appearance.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, hang on. I've made a small folder so I'll put up their pictures for you now.
Oh, okay. She's got severe eyebrows in the one picture. Maybe it's just how her hair is styled. Her face looks very heart-shaped.
Oh, lonely hearts. And it's very 1940s and most of it, there's hats, it's black and white, like everything's a little bit more severe, but I don't know, she's not ugly anyway.
No, it's not. But what's up with this kiss picture?
I don't know. I was like, there's a picture of them kissing like it's the freaking end of the World War. It probably was.
So uncomfortable. It doesn't even look like him.
It looks like, unless I did that when I was listening to your segment, so what do I know?
Unless I'm trying to figure out. Well, who's the one guy? Because the one guy looks like he has a full head of hair. And then they're with a guy that looks like he has a bald patch kind of at the back of his hair. And then the one she's making out with is the one that has the bald patch. Is that their lawyer? Because it looks like the the one that she got arrested with has a full head of hair.
Oh, really? Oh, God. Yeah. I can't even find my pictures. I'm so confused.
The one that's labeled honeymoon, that has to be him and her, right?
Oh, honeymoon? That was, I think that's a movie. A movie based on that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's the one who had severe eyebrows then, the one that's not her.
Oh. Okay. This is the problem. Every time I put up pictures, she always sees if there's a movie, and then I can't keep it till the end. I don't know. I always like to say if there's a movie at the end. Which
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently there was a few actually. Okay, just to close it out. They were both executed on March 8th, 1951. So in my case, they both got the same exact punishment.
I mean, yeah, they just like mine, honestly. Like, you knew what you're getting into. After the first one, you knew more than likely it was going to keep happening. Like, at that point, you're an accomplice, at the very least.
Oh, yeah, I think as long as you're intelligent enough to know right from wrong. Like, you're not a sociopath, so...
Be like, oh, you murdered somebody? Is that okay with you or not? That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. I don't know. It's almost offensive sometimes to say they're sub-intelligent, and that's why... You know what I mean? It's like grasping at straws, almost.
Yeah. Gordo's back.
Think about it, Gordo. Yeah, I saw his little tail.
Fucking nice.
Dun-na, dun-na, dun-na.
You go on the desk. I'm not gonna pet you.
Okay. Sorry.
El Gordo, the fat man, is back.
Too fat to jump up there?
Go away. Go away.
You pugnacious little bastard.
Oh my God. The mic can't pet you.
Almost
it's inanimate.
Done.
Yeah.
All right, so this is pretty sad. Their other victims were never found if they did have as many victims as he implied. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it might have been an exaggeration on his part. I guess we'll hope so. Yeah. So it didn't seem like they picked people that would be hard to be traced either. It wasn't like sex workers. It was, like widows. Yeah.
Yeah, wealthy widows. Like, their family presumably would have the means to try and track them down.
Somebody's wealthy. Yeah, their relatives are wondering what happens to them when they die. Anyway, that sounded callous, but you know what I mean. And of course, Hollywood has had its way with the story in the form of... This was the first movie I found, but I guess it's been a couple movies. But The Honeymoon Killers, apparently, which is the one you were looking at.
Honeymoon. I was trying to piece based on the hair who she's making out with, and it's not even them.
I guess. Yeah. I think the kiss picture was them. Anyway, who knows? There was definitely some movie pictures that came up when I was quickly Googling Lonely Hearts Killers.
Stop hitting the mic.
It was also a 1960 episode of the American TV show Deadline, just called Lonely Hearts Killers. Deadline, not Dateline.
Not Dateline.
No. The Honeymoon Killers, I mentioned that one. They called it a 1970 American cult classic. Also in a movie called Deep Crimson, which was a 1996 Mexican film about the events.
Oh, weird.
And
it's like a totally unrelated title.
I know, Deep Crimson. Oh, Deep Impact. Lonely Hearts, the aptly named Lonely Hearts, a 2006 American film. And then, oh God, how do I pronounce this one? Alleluia? A 2014 Belgian French film inspired by the events.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hallelujah? Yeah, like hallelujah, but without the H. Kind of.
Interesting.
And Finally, a 2006 episode of the TV series Cold Case was called Lonely Hearts and featured a pair of killers named Martha Beck and Raymond Delgado. So that was... It was like it got its own Criminal Minds almost.
Yeah.
But it was Cold
Criminal
Case.
Minds. I love Criminal Minds. So good.
I don't think I've ever watched that one, but
so unnecessary drama between the people.
Nice.
You're like, I mean, the life of an FBI profiler cannot be this exciting.
Oh god, like the hospital shows where like all the doctors are like sleeping together and they're like, that's not how that really works.
Like watching it, and the one guy, he gets kidnapped by one of the people, and then they give him drugs, so then he becomes addicted to drugs.
The profiler does?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Oh no.
And then I got a spoiler later on. He ends up in prison for some reason, and people are always like, why are the unnecessary storylines? They're like, yeah, it's pretty unnecessary.
Nice.
But what can you do? The show was on for like 15 years.
Oh no, you gotta love a good procedural drama. I mean, it's why I listen to true crime podcasts and stuff. It's the same shit. It's interesting. They're usually based on true cases sometimes. Like I know they do that. A lot of them are. And, NCIS and SVU, all the one.
Yeah.
But good times. Who's on Criminal Minds? Anybody famous? No.
What's that? Matthew Gray Gubler? Is that a Grubler? He's probably the most famous. And then the other guy, is it Shamar or something? He's on SWAT now.
Shamar Moore, maybe?
Oh yeah. He's in Criminal Minds.
I feel like he's a hottie. All right, I know. Yeah, I think I know this name.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I like the actors and the characters in it are well done, and they do a good job like doing the profiles and keeping it interesting and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. Boop. What have you guys been watching? Let us know.
Gordo's trying to hold my hand. Hi, my baby.
Hold your hand. Podcat is being annoying. No. He's just like, Mom, I want your attention. You look like you're busy.
He was doing this morning. He was very cuddly. So
that's cute.
I think it's because I worked 2 like 8.5-hour shifts in a row. So he's like, where were you all day? You left and I was sleeping, and then you didn't come home until like 9:30. Then you went to sleep.
How dare you? You need to be here to play bottle caps.
Yeah. You need to be here for me to sit on your lap. Huh?
All right. Yep. I guess she can go now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I might steal her again. We still need to have a proper fire.
Yeah.
I'm determined.
Yes, we do.
We still have the s'mores kit. We have not eaten it, Kelsey.
No? Nobody's touched the graham crackers? They survived.
Oh, I think at least one package is gone. But remember, we bought the extra.
Yeah. It's good.
My family on graham crackers, like, they've never had access to them before. Oh, what the fuck? Graham crackers? Yeah. Okay. It's awesome. Anyway. Well, thank you for listening. We love you guys. I know I said it already, but don't forget to give us a rating and let us know what you want to talk about. We're here for it.
On this one-sided conversation we have with you.
How are you? You guys, this has all been about us.
Tell us about your day.
Are you guys doing okay? Is it good?
Did you eat breakfast?
Are
you drinking enough water?
Who is? Is it hot there? What is happening? Anyway, hopefully you're all well. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, but we hope to just bring brightness to your day and cats, castles, and cryptids.
We're gonna rename the podcast. His face is so cute, you guys.
He's being cute again.
Yeah, he is. He really is. Here's a
he needs his own Instagram.
He does. Huh?
Half my Instagram is just my dog anyway.
Gordo gets an Instagram, huh?
I was tempted to post a flashback Friday or something. I'm like, I have pictures from our Vegas trip. Pictures of Kelsey stuffing her face. Pictures I never posted. But
yeah. A video of Gordo as a baby. And he's only like a few months old. He's so teeny tiny. Give me like the glow up.
Oh my god. I have like one picture of baby Fenrir and I'd have to make sure it'd be okay just to post. Well, I posted pictures of my kid before, but it's she's holding him when she's really young and he's really young. They're both just a little itty bitty.
That's cute.
Yeah. Anyway,
you can always put something to cover her face.
I know. Anyway, we need to get big enough that I need to worry about my daughter's safety. No, I don't. Say it that way. But some people be like, oh, I don't know if I'd post my kid now that I'm like big. And I'm like, well, I'm not worried about my personal Instagram when we have like 50 followers, but no.
Yeah.
Guys, we did hit 10,000 downloads then. So you know. Just if you want to know where we're at, we're okay. We'd like to have more.
Yes.
So if you think it's not important enough that we say rate and review and tell your friend, it really is. I see every single download. It makes me so happy. So please give me that serotonin boost and that endorphin boost and just give us a few ratings. Yeah. It would make my life. But anyway, we love you guys. Catch you next week and keep it cryptic.
Bye.
Bye, Gordo.
Yeah, you can't have chocolate. Window. Go to the window and investigate. So funny. He's left the room now.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, I made that dulce de leche cake, but it was like, the icing didn't get very icing-y. It just kind of stayed.
Oh, okay.
Like you put whipped cream in with the dulce de leche stuff, and then it was supposed to turn into a frosting with stiff peaks, but it just never got stiff.
Oh.
Like, oh, my frosting's just gonna be kind of like dribbling and
all
right, but I'll have to try the other recipe I wanted to try was for tres leches cakes with the 3 different milks. So
yeah,
I bought the homo milk. Now I got to make it, especially because Rain opened the milk. Someone opened the milk, even though we had another full thing of milk. Anyway, there's too much milk. I'm gonna drink it. I don't know if we don't seem to be drinking the 4-liter ones anymore, but we used to go through so much. Rain would eat so much cereal, but now sometimes it's like, you're throwing out some at the end, and it's like,
I can only get through 2 liters myself normally.
Yeah, I just don't think we've been eating as much cereal and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. Milk problems. 99 problems, but my milk ain't one. What the hell? I don't think, yours didn't at least have any kids. Hello.
Interrupting Gordo.
What did he knock into?
The mic. Because he wants attention. Hi, buddy. You need to go.
Does he ever?
He's trying to get onto he's trying to get onto my lap, but here.
He is your laptop.
Move your tail. Move your tail. You're caught on my headphones. Move your tail. Here. You sit on my lap like this. Alanna's telling story time. Okay.
Get cozy, Gordo. He just kept putting his butt in front of the camera.
There. Story time.
Okay, I can see you.
Tell Gordo another story.
Now he's being cute.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay.
No, we can hear you purring. Just gonna have Gordo purring in the background, sorry.
No, it's all good. That's funny.
Hey!
No biting.
Jesus.
Now he's trying to get revenge?
Yeah, he's trying to attack me.
What a dick. What a little dick.
Don't. Oh, God.
Such a little fucker. Like, I see his little paws as if he's just gonna get a quick one in. Like, yeah. Really? Really? Oh,
don't. God. Oh, my God. He's trying to go after my legs now.
Gordo.
I will get the spray bottle and you will have a shower.
Mommy is not having it. Throws her headphones down. This is going in the outtakes. Cat takes.
There. Like, Jesus.
What a little dick.
Yeah. Oh.
Is it a full moon? No.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.